Thereafter, he became an infantry commander in the Minakulu area. That is when he got his Machodwongo Chikubyo praise name. Mach in our Luo language means fire and Dwogo means coming back. The peasants who gave him that praise name meant that when he took command of the army in the area, people were able to make fires again in order to cook, warm themselves. Before Okello defeating the Konyi terrorists in the area, people were hiding and fearing to make fire so that the terrorists do not see the fire and come for them. On account of the popularity, he was elected LC5 chairman and eventually member of parliament. I was very happy to appoint him a minister of state. His killing by his bodyguard was a big crime to patriotism in Uganda. We would have hunted him to exact justice on him. Unfortunately, he took his own life. Hence, we did not have that opportunity. There is an ongoing investigation. I await the conclusion of that investigation before I comment on the security of public officials and the mistakes made and how we will rectify them. Signed, His Excellency, the President of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, retired general. Now, the National Resistance Movement, NRM, has paid tribute to the fallen Junior Minister for Labour, Employment and Industrial Relations, Charles Okello Engola, describing him as a courageous and a patriotic servant. The NRM Secretary General, Richard Todwong, says the minister was key in the ruling NRM government and his death will leave a big gap. Philip Aguta with more.
Tribute continues to pour in for the fallen Junior Minister for Labour, Employment and Industrial Relations, Charles Okello Engola. The NRM Secretary General, Richard Todwong, describes the minister, who was his party chairperson for Lango sub-region, as courageous and patriotic.
He joined NRM in the early 1980s, and he has since then worked closely with President Museveni and the leadership of the National Resistance Movement Party. He was at the center of fighting insurgency in northern Uganda, and that was how he gained his name, his nickname, Machodwongo, because he was very active in fighting LRA rebels.
Todwong also reveals that Okello was key in ruling NRM party and his death leaves a big gap.
I really missed him. We shall miss his ability to mobilize, his ability to bring unity in Lango and northern Uganda, his charisma and everything about him. The party has lost a giant.
Meanwhile, at the residence of the fallen minister in Chanja, a Kampala suburb, preparations for the next week's prayers are ongoing. George Olong, one of the sons to the minister, confirmed to the media that the minister will be buried on Saturday, 13th May next week at their ancestral home in Oyam district.
The program has been scheduled that on the 9th, which is next week on Tuesday, the body of Mosei will be taken to Parliament for viewing, and then on Wednesday the body will be taken to Kololo airstrip, where there will be a funeral service prayer that will be held there. Thereafter, the body will be brought home for a vigil, where we shall be home here. Then on Thursday, the body will be flown home in the village, and the arrangement in the village will begin on Friday when the body arrives.
Minister Charles Engola was shot dead by his personal bodyguard, Private Sabit Wilson, on Tuesday morning at his home in Chanja, Nakawa Division. Philip Aguta for UBC News in Kampala.
Now, the clan to which the late retired Colonel Charles Okello Engola belonged has finally spoken. Okello Engola was one of the deputy clan leaders of Otikokien in Lango sub-region. Now, the clan has come out to ask the clan and tribe from which the murderer hailed to willingly engage them for a cultural reconciliatory process. Eddie Olwa with more.
To fight underdevelopment in this country, and the only way to do it is loving our country, loving our people, and loving the work we are doing to them, giving them the proper service which the government is giving us to do.
On Tuesday morning, the country was hit by the disgraceful murder of State Minister for Labour, Employment and Industrial Relations, retired Colonel Charles Patrick Okello Engola.
We are in Oyam district today.
Okello Engola, who was taken down by his bodyguard, Private Wilson Sabiti, was the deputy clan leader of Otikokien clan.
Late retired Colonel Charles Okello Engola was a special person. He had the love of the Lao people in his heart. First of all, we think we are alive, we are surviving now because of him. There are many questions to be answered, which the Lao people are still demanding for clear answers.
Traditionally, when murders of this nature occur, the clan to which the perpetrator belongs is required to pay blood compensation as a way of reconciling the two factions.
So that it does not become a factor that can cause problems between the two tribes, where Sabiti comes from and the Lang people. The Lang people are peaceful people. We don't want our generosity, we don't want our harmony to be abused by anybody.
According to tradition, compensation at least requires 7 cows, goats and some money, and sometimes even more, depending on a number of factors.
Because elders have to sit and then decide what exactly to be done.
Still in grieving mood, these Lao traditional leaders want Sabiti's tribe to come clear on this matter before they take traditional steps.
This has been not an ordinary murder. This is death forced upon a passion. We have our own way. If the clan or if the tribe of this Sabiti does not come into terms with what we want, traditionally our elders will get together and then we pray to God. The power is left onto the spiritual world for the spirit of the dead, together with the spirit of the ancestors of the dead, to do the revenge. And the revenge will not be on the individual alone.
The relatives of the killer should come out willingly to talk to Lao as a tribe and say, please, let's sit down and harmonize this so that we reconcile and we continue as one.
The Beta clan leaders also want the government, through its security agencies, to make public all information pertaining the one Wilson Sabiti who ended the life of their clan leader.
It is still not yet very clear, but we believe government is well aware, because from the time that he joined the army, the time that he was recruited, we believe all his particulars or details were taken.
Charles Osendro, the clan spokesperson, also wants government to rein on some pockets of people celebrating their son's death on social media.
Then any other person can ask, what is the motive?
I said, what?
Retired Colonel Charles Okello Engola survived by widow and 3 children. Eddie Olwa, UBC News.
So let me find out if it is true.
The Minister for Information, Communication Technology and National Guidance, Dr. Chris Baryomunsi, has urged Ugandans to desist from the habit of misusing social media platforms, but rather utilize it for developmental purposes. The Minister was reacting to the widespread speculation arising from the unclear circumstances that led to the shooting to death of the State Minister for Labour, Employment and Industrial Relations, retired Colonel Charles Engola, by his bodyguard, Private Wilson Sabiti.
As speculations on what triggered Private Wilson Sabiti, the bodyguard, to shoot and kill his principal, retired Colonel Charles Engola, continues, government has asked Ugandans to refrain from spreading falsehood about the Tuesday incident. Dr. Chris Baryomunsi says the Tuesday incident is purely an isolated incident that should not be used to describe how ministers relate with their ADs.
Like when you say ministers are panicking, when did anybody carry out a survey or an assessment among ministers, because the incident happened yesterday. But when you see what people are writing on social media, it's as if they have done a research. So our appeal, and my appeal as a Minister for Communication, is that let us use social media platforms responsibly and communicate what builds this country, what facilitates transformation, but not just to spew falsehoods, blackmail, just insults and messages to bring down others. Because this is what I see as the mainstay of social media communication, which is very unfortunate.
He, however, recognizes the incident as one with numerous lessons to leaders, especially those with a number of ADs around them, but contends that much as familiarity might breed contempt, it does not cost anything for principals to scale down on their pride and build a cordial relationship with their ADs.
Where, for instance, there is an extreme situation, say one of them has lost a dear one, it does no harm you as a principal, so maybe to make a contribution, to make some support. I mean, that humanity is also necessary, that they come to know that you who is being guarded, you also appreciate their service. I'm not saying that they should entirely depend on you, but I'm saying in some situations where somebody has a big problem, there is nothing wrong with also you extending a hand where you can and where you can afford. In other words, you should not relate with them mechanically simply because they are your guards and they are paid by government. It shouldn't occur that you have no interest in their conditions, in their welfare, and how they live. For instance, meeting them and greeting them does no harm, no harm. So one should create that relationship and rapport with them because they are part and parcel of your life.
The minister also dismissed allegations that the embattled bodyguard took the minister's life over his salary areas. After all, ministers or principals are never involved in management of pay slips, not even allowances.
Because the bodyguards are given to you by the state, they are employees of government, they get salaries in their mother ministries, like say police officers, they are paid through police, the monthly salary, and then when they are assigned to you, the ministries usually give them allowances, monthly allowances to top up on the salary. The allowances are paid by government. Even when you have a field assignment, or they are paid out of station allowance, it is paid by the government. So a minister is not expected to pull money from his or her pocket to pay allowances or the salary of the bodyguards. Yes, you can choose to buy them lunch out of courtesy or support them in one way or the other, but ordinarily, a minister or any other government official who is having this protection is not the one to give the salary or the allowance to these bodyguards.
On whether high-profile leaders should have a designated place cordoned off for their residences, Minister Baryomunsi says the benefits with every pocket of the country, be it Islam or not secured, outweighs those of ring-fencing off for the so-called big shots.
I do not think that Ugandans would be comfortable with us cutting money for health or cutting money for safe water, and then we build the houses for ministers, So, but we can give advice on areas which are safer. But I think ultimately, what is important is to address issues of insecurity, not only for ministers, but for all Ugandans, because all of us must be safe.
According to the tentative burial arrangements, the slain minister, Colonel Charles Engola, will be laid to rest on 13th May 2023.
Thursday, 11th, there will be a church service, All Saints church in Akasero, and in the afternoon there will be paying tribute in the Parliament of Uganda, and then again working backwards. The other days will be when we shall be observing the vigil. So that is the tentative program, but once we have finalized the program and it's confirmed by government and the family, then we shall officially issue that program to the public.
I'm Nafka Farida and Dokas Kimono.
Local leaders have hailed the contribution of the late retired Colonel Charles Patrick Okello Engola in the area. Okello Engola, who was the State Minister for Labour, Employment and Industrial Relations, was also the Oyam North Area Member of Parliament in Oyam District. Before he was gunned down to death, Okello was reconstructing a church 200 meters away from his home in Oyam. Eddie Olwa with more.
About 200 meters away from the late Charles Okello Engola's home is St. Nathan Church of Uganda, Wangi, also the parish headquarters. According to local leaders here, the late offered to reconstruct this church that was in a deplorable state.
I was stubborn a bit. I asked him, "You man, what are you doing? How do you pray? How do we pray?" You think God is not thinking about us?
They say it is this church that Minister Engola suggested to hold this wedding.
A month or so ago, we were attending a burial. One of the things he mentioned publicly and in the presence of bishops was his intention to wed soon, and everybody was happy. We were all now looking forward to his wedding.
Miriam Auma, the area councillor at Cheme, says the late supported a number of vulnerable people, including orphans, persons with a disability and widows.
What we discuss a lot is even in my phone here. He was encouraging her so much on tree plantation. Of course, I'm a widow.
I love to stay with my people who are happy.
While still in service, Macho Duogo became very popular for commanding fearless battles that restored peace in northern Uganda.
People were just eating apple. For him, he had and took the seedlings, and you can see the seedling. People believe that apple cannot do well here, but it's here. You can see these trees planted. These are not natural trees, the kind of an entrepreneur. If you go down there, he has chickens, he has everything. This is the man we have lost today.
We interdict them and lock them up. There's no, I don't have mercy to any of this kind of people.
The tough-speaking officer is also remembered for rising against those who continue to steal from the poor. Early this year, Minister Okello pitched camp at Oyam District after a tip-off alleged extortion from the elderly.
And I've decided to stay here to track these people. I'm not going to office until I pick all of them.
His personality and contribution to the peace restoration earned him a massive victory in Oyam as the first chair of the district.
He fought a number of battles, a number of weapons, and could not be killed down there. But today, he's being sought by one single gun.
Retired Colonel Charles Patrick Okello Engola is expected to be laid to rest on Saturday 13th at his ancestral home in Oyam District. Eddie Olwa, UBC News.
UBC News tonight. Now, professional psychiatrists and psychologists have weighed in on the possible causes that could have led to the shooting of retired Colonel Charles Engola by his bodyguard. Professor Peter Baguma, a psychologist and a lecturer at the School of Psychology at Makerere University, shares his analysis.
This week on Tuesday, the country woke up to bad news of the shooting of the State Minister for Labour, Employment and Industrial Relations, Colonel retired Charles Engola, by his bodyguard Wilson Sabiti, who after the incident shot himself dead. Professor Peter Baguma, a psychologist and lecturer at the School of Psychology at Makerere University, analyzes circumstances that could have led to the shooting of Minister Engola by bodyguard.
To me, I think, one, the person could have been suffering from what we call PTSD, which is a psychological disorder. that one gets after witnessing a very, very serious event that threatens his life or her life, that brings a lot of fear, that scares the person, that shocks the person. So when people meet such experiences, what we call traumatic experiences, they leave a mark on somebody's brain, and that mark they have left on the brain keeps disturbing the person even when the event has gone away. And in the army, some soldiers can have this condition called PTSD. And those are the soldiers that fear, they have killed their families, they have killed their children, they have killed their commanders, they have killed themselves, they have shot at civilians. So they are there, but we don't know the background of this soldier. We don't know, we cannot know whether he was suffering from PTSD.
Another issue which I think, like soldiers or policemen, they are subjected to combat experience, especially those who went to the front line. Now, in America, what they do, after coming out from a war area as a soldier, you are debriefed for 6 months. You go in, you are treated, you are counseled. So in Uganda, maybe they are doing it, but I don't know the standard. And that will help to detect, to evaluate the soldiers. And if you see somebody cannot go through it properly, then that person is put aside.
Professor Baguma also hints on the personal character where one fails to control their anger.
Uncontrollable anger, what we call explosive anger. There are some people who cannot control their anger. It is also a psychological disorder. A small thing, the person explodes. And in that explosion, there is violence, and there could also be a lot of violence and aggression, and it might end up in injury of the other person. It might even end up in a death. So, uncontrollable, explosive anger can also be part of the explanation.
Professor Baguma, however, states that a conclusive cause of the guard's actions can only be reached at after thorough investigations.
We want somebody who was on the scene to narrate exactly what happened. Me and you cannot sit here and we say this, and we don't have enough information from the scene. His Excellency, I said that we wait. They are doing investigations. When now we get detailed, reliable reports, then that's when we can try to understand exactly what could have happened. You see? So maybe the family members can be interviewed, interview family members, so that they can tell us more information on which we can base.
Yasin Umar, a trained psychiatrist, also explains how stress and depression can make a person get involved in bad actions.
The person whom he or she associates with the cause of this happening.
Police is conducting investigations into the matter to determine what could have forced the bodyguard to take the life of his boss and his own.
Speaker of Parliament Anita Among-Anet has emphasized the need to establish a disaster commission to prepare for emergencies. The concern by the Speaker follows fresh calamitous occurrences in Kigezi sub-region that have seen roads and homes destroyed and over 15 people dead. State Minister for Trade David Bahati says government is working towards restoring normalcy in the area.
Roads have been destroyed, homes flooded, and to worsen it, Some lives have unfortunately been lost in Kigezi sub-region. It is an emergency situation that has come to the attention of Parliament, prompting a moment of silence.
May we rise for a moment of silence for the people who have lost their lives.
May their souls rest in eternal peace.
Uganda is a very interesting country. It is either floods or drought. So we must be always prepared for the floods and the drought. And we've lost a number of people just within these few days.
Worried that the challenge could extend to other disaster-prone areas, Speaker of Parliament Anita Among wants establishment of a disaster commission.
It's a constitutional requirement. But nobody has ever bothered to do this. They will say we have a disaster committee in the constituency. But it would be this disaster commission to push the disaster committee at district level to ensure that we prepare in time. But we have paid a deaf ear to that.
In Kisoro district alone, about 10 people have died, something that area leaders are worried over.
Even when we have appealed to government to send relief, as I talk now, relief cannot get where to pass unless they pass through Kigali or unless it is flown from maybe Kabale to Kisoro, because the road from Kabale to Kisoro has been washed off at a place called Murgwa. So we have a very, very big crisis.
Eddie Kwizera wants a special fund from the Finance Ministry to fund Uganda National Roads Authority in reconstructing these roads.
And UNRA gets an emergency contractor to go and reconstruct that road, which has been washed up. But even the same has been happening in Kanungu, so we want Minister of Finance to provide funds.
This has been answered in affirmative by State Minister for Trade, David Bahati. Bahati is also Member of Parliament for Ndorwa West in Kabale District, one of the affected areas.
Upon receiving this information, we have involved the Office of the Prime Minister. I've also informed the Minister of Works. We are doing all that we can to make sure that the situation at least temporarily improves as we plan for a permanent solution for this.
Going forward, measures have to be adopted to prevent future occurrence of disasters. Here is the suggestion by Eddie Kwizera, the Member of Parliament for Bukimbiri County in Kisoro District.
Similar disasters can only be avoided by better methods of farming and also by government providing sufficient funds for road maintenance. Because like this road from Kabale to Kisoro, it is there for close to 20 years. It has never had any maintenance.
For now, it remains a fragile situation in Kigezi and Rwenzori sub-regions, requiring urgent response. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Minister of State for Karamoja Affairs, Agnes Nandutu, has been released on a cash bail of 10 million Uganda shillings and imposed with stringent terms, among others, not to move outside the jurisdiction of the country without court's permission. Minister Nandutu is faced with charges of dealing with suspect property following her alleged involvement in the Karamoja iron sheets scandal.
The Anti-Corruption High Court, presided over by Lady Justice Jane Okuo Kajuga, is trying a case where Minister of State for Karamoja Affairs Agnes Nandutu is facing charges of dealing with suspected property. Judge Kajuga, after perusing both sides' submissions, was pleased to grant Minister Agnes Nandutu bail after presenting substantial sureties.
And the suspicion that she had run off to evade the police. It is not stated whether efforts were made to trace the applicant and her workplace, and that these were futile. The fact that there was difficulty in arresting the applicant then begs the question of whether the applicant knew that she was needed by police in respect of the current charges. And I therefore proceed to grant the applicant bail on the following terms. 1, a cash bail of 10 million shillings by the applicant. 2, each of the sureties is to pay a non-cash bond of 50 million shillings.
Minister Agnes Nandutu's sureties include Nangoli Gerard, Member of Parliament for Bulambuli, and Chairperson Bogishu Caucus, Nandara Nathan Mafabi, Member of Parliament for Budadili West, and Chairperson Bogishu Cooperative Union, and Kamot Milton Apollo, LC5 Chairperson Bududa District. Other grounds to grant Minister Agnes Nandutu bail were that he had ill health and presumption of innocence of the offences against her.
Additional security of duplicate title for land comprised in Chadondo Block 224, Plot 844, land at Namugongo in the name of second surety shall be deposited with the Deputy Registrar as additional security.
However, court imposed strict bail terms to Minister Agnes Nandutu, among others, not to move outside the country's jurisdiction without court's permission, and to deposit her residence land title.
3, certificate of title for land comprised in Chagwe Plot Block 113, Plot 1649 at Nantabulirwa, and Chagwe Block 113, Plot 1650, also at Nantabulirwa, registered in the applicant's names, shall be deposited with the Deputy Registrar of this court as extra security. The applicant's passport is to be deposited with the court. 5, the applicant is banned from traveling outside the jurisdiction of the country without the leave of court until the disposition of the case.
Court will resume on 23rd May 2023 for pre-trial hearing. The offences against Minister Agnes Nandutu, prosecution alleges that during the month of June 2022, at the office of the Prime Minister's stores in Namamve and Koraselo Buranyi Parish in Mukono District, Minister Nandutu dealt with government property of over 2,000 pre-painted iron sheets. Gauge 28. Minister Agnes Nandutu, however, denied the said charge. Deborah Namamonde, Susan Nabugude, UBC News.
The Ministry of Relief, Disaster Preparedness and Refugees has asked all Ugandans who live on top of mountains like Rwenzori and Elgon to vacate those places and move to churches in the meantime. State Minister for Relief, Disaster Preparedness and Refugees, Esther Anyakun, says the Office of the Prime Minister is ready to respond in terms of giving the affected people relief. Anyakun says the Office of the Prime Minister is aware there has been cumulative rain and it is at its peak, so people need to vacate flood-prone areas that may cause them death.
We know very well there have been cumulative rain, just as we had made announcements from the UNMA report that the rains will be there in March, April and May. Right now we are at the peak of the rains, so I want to let you know that please stay away from the floods, stay away from crossing water, stay away from all sorts of danger where we know water is going to cause you any form of death. All Ugandans who are living on top of the mountains, all the Ugandans who are living on Rwenzori Mountains, Elgon Mountains, we ask you to vacate those places for now, where we know it is very, very dangerous for you to stay there. Let's go to the nearest churches, let's go to the nearest schools, and for us as Office of the Prime Minister, we are ready to come and respond in terms of relief, in terms of non-food items, to be able to support you for now, to ensure that we save lives of Ugandans. I want to appreciate all those ones who have managed to listen to the radio announcements, who have managed to listen to their local leaders through the district disaster management committees to ensure that they have left as of now and they're saving their families and their lives for now. I want to thank you all for God and my country.
Talk with freedom. Get MTN Freedom voice bundles that don't expire. Dial *100 *21# or my MTN app for more bundles. Together, we're unstoppable.
This isn't just a girl. She is the future. This is a teacher, a doctor, a community leader, our future president.
She is our family's pride, and as her father, I will protect her from child marriage and talk to her about the dangers of teenage pregnancy. We each have a role to play in empowering our teenage girls to protect them from child marriage and pregnancy, because when we empower them, we empower our nation. Protect the girl, save the nation.
Take action. Report any case of defilement or child marriage to the police or call Sauti 116.
Wakato, this is a quick call. I'm almost out of minutes. Now, the center.
Why rush through such important conversations? Airtel Uganda has made it possible for you to call across all networks in Uganda at the best rates with the new Bona voice bundles. Stay connected anytime, anywhere, with minutes valid for calls on all networks. Dial *100*1#. Select voice bundles and select Bona voice bundles today. Airtel, the smartphone network.
This isn't just a girl. She is the future. This is a teacher, a doctor, a community leader, our future president.
She is our family's pride, and as her father, I will protect her from child marriage and talk to her about the dangers of teenage pregnancy. We each have a role to play in empowering our teenage girls to protect them from child marriage and pregnancy, because when we empower them, we empower our nation. Protect the girl, save the nation.
Take action. Report any case of defilement or child marriage to the police or call Sauti 116.
Do you need data collection services, data analysis and reporting, monitoring and evaluation systems? Then contact Mold Technologies, a professional research firm that has provided many organizations with timely research solutions for over 15 years. For more information, visit www.mt.co.ug or call us on 0704 913 399 or 0782 602 963. Visit our office in Kampala at Sayuni Complex in Tinda. Mood Technologies, your professional research firm.
Jerry con. Jerry con. Hey, Master Blaster. Touch him, man. Buy Jerry con with muscle. Those ones who say go for you only. Mundava. First group is I teach you. When I'm going to which the squad, because of the camera is very far. Is you serious? It's yes, you. What? Yeah? You stay put on it. Add kilometers to your legs, and you get your sugar. We buy meat from Umaru, and Umaru refuse to give you enough meat. Mama! Show him that they don't joke with you. Umaru, wait. Jerry,
okukakaluka n'okulungi kwetaagako omuntu akuyambako, n'olwekyo tujja kukuteerawo embeera esaanidde osobole okukola ekisinga. Awamu teri kitulema.
At Timex Nutrition Center, we advise you on the right foods to eat, exercise profile to adopt, and lifestyle strategies which are compatible to your blood group and genotype. This empowers your body to prevent and treat many diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, ulcers, obesity, and many others. For more information, find us at our head office in Kampala on Nassa Road, Conrad Plaza, 2nd floor, or call 0758 819 952 or 0778 288 361. We also have other branches in Mbara and Jinja.
Welcome back from that break. Now into more news. Regional environmental researchers are meeting in Entebbe with the aim of promoting collaboration of research initiatives on transboundary water management and climate change adaptation across the Lake Victoria Basin. This is after it was established that despite numerous regional tools initiated to tackle the issue of climate change and to promote adaptation and resilience, information gaps remain wide at implementation levels, thus undermining the outcomes.
High-level meeting for regional environmental researchers targeting to advance the quality of research projects that can spur policy formulation that promotes adaptation to climate change and resilience in the Lake Victoria Basin. Dr. Masinde Bwire, the EALVBC Executive Secretary, says over time the Commission has been implementing projects without guiding data, which has proved to be very costly. Unfortunately, one cannot claim scarcity of qualified personnel because in the region there are more than enough researchers.
We have the capacity in the region. We have scientists and researchers with all fields within adaptation, being natural resource scientists, being socio-economic scientists, being environmental scientists, they are there, including climate scientists, they are there. And we trust that is why we have requested partner states to donate them and they contribute to this agenda.
Going forward, stakeholders in the area of adaptation to climate change want to establish what they have termed a regional researchers forum.
And this forum that we need to establish will be having three major objectives. One is to promote and facilitate collaboration among researchers in the field of adaptation within the Lake Victoria Basin. Number two is to jointly negotiate for or mobilize resources for research in that area. And number three, to promote knowledge and information sharing among the scientific community and the actors within the basin.
This is a great step that has been taken up by the East African community, specifically Lake Victoria Basin Commission, because we need to come and have a common understanding of our problems so that we have a common solution. And this, if it works, can also go into other areas that are not necessarily within the Lake Victoria Basin, because the countries are bigger than the basin itself. So a working model here would apply in other areas as well.
Professor James Okot Okumu believes this will go a long way in not only coordinating collaboration, but tap into the underutilized information from different research projects. It is also believed that this will facilitate policy formulation that in return will fund efforts aimed at promoting adaptation to climate change among the member states.
When you are writing proposals, we call them bankable proposals. You can come out with ideas, but the funders also have their priorities. So you need to have an eye of looking for the possible areas that can be funded. So if it is too big that it goes in areas that you think fund cannot be done, you can do them in phases to focus in the areas that are hot at the moment, that are funded.
The two-day regional meeting has attracted participants from Burundi, Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, and the host, Uganda.
The Inspector General of Government, Betty Kamya, has vowed to tighten her grip in the fight against corruption among government officials. Advice, she says, deprives citizens of a chance to access better services. Kamya made the remarks at the Kampala University's main campus, Gaba, where she presided over the institution's 20th graduation ceremony. Ivan Juko filed this report.
2,394 graduates of Kampala University have been awarded with certificates, diplomas, undergraduate and postgraduate degrees in different doctrines.
And I've graduated with a bachelor's in social work and social administration. The main reason as to why I came back for this degree, to add it on a degree I have in mass communication, was to first of all know the people we are dealing with. First First of all, media, we go out to the fields and venture out to get news. But we need to understand the people we get news from.
Presiding over the university's 20th graduation ceremony, the Inspector General of Government, also the guest of honor Betty Namisango Kamyatudyomwe, cited the violation of rules and laws as the backbone of corruption.
Corruption is a vice that comes at the tail end of a process that begins by violation of laws, rules, and regulations.
According to Kamya, Uganda loses 10 trillion shillings to corruption and vowed to deal with the corrupt government officials.
It's very sad that a scientific study that was done in 2021 revealed that Uganda could be losing up to 10 trillion shillings per year to corruption. And who steals this money? Mainland government officials.
Kamya appealed to higher institutions of learning to embrace mentorship programs to avoid indiscipline and moral decay among students.
Call upon all institutions of higher learning in Uganda to promote the culture of patriotism among students. During the COVID-19 lockdown, students developed antisocial behavior.
The institution's Chancellor Professor Mondo Kagonyera and the founder and East Vice Chancellor Professor Badu Dungo Katerega asked government to prioritize the teaching of science courses.
Encourage the government to support private universities like Kampala University, which are ready to mount science programs by allocating them grants.
So the new tenet is a struggle for the fittest. Be serious about digital literacy. And the digital literacy refers to the ability to use your computer to its highest potential.
The ceremony was graced by members of parliament, delegates from outside Uganda and Buganda Kingdom, religious leaders among other dignitaries. The university also launched its 8th Journal edition on the website. I'm Ivan Juko for UBC.
School of Arts and Social Science.
Thank you, Ivan Juko. Now, Kampala Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago and KCCA Technical Wing, led by Executive Director Dorothy Kisaka, have inaugurated the City Roads Committee that will oversee Kampala's infrastructure development. Mayors and MPs from 5 divisions formed the committee, which, with the elected chairperson, in a private meeting that was chaired by the KCCA Executive Director Dorothy Kisaka.
Kampala Capital City Authority is battling a challenge of dilapidated roads with potholes that have caused a public outcry for their rehabilitation. However, KCCA administration says it does not have enough money for the exercise to be effectively conducted. In lieu of this, the KCCA Executive Director, Dorothy Kisaka, called for a meeting to find ways on how the quarterly funds given to them can be evenly distributed to the 5 divisions of Kampala to rehabilitate some of these roads.
We are a team of about 28 people. Executive Director is there, and today we inaugurated it. The work of this committee will be to oversee the work in the divisions, repair works, maintenance works, pothole works, not reconstruction of roads. There is a fund, a specific fund called the Uganda Road Fund, where money for maintenance of roads comes from. So this committee will be in charge of that, in accountability, in identifying the works that need to be done, in guiding government.
Kampala Mayor Elias Lukwago says although this road fund committee will help them harmonize financing towards the infrastructure development of the city's roads, there is need for more funding.
The vote for us for the entire engineering and technical services is 78 billion. But what is specifically earmarked for road construction is 48. And that 48 had been slashed to 10 billion. And they are struggling within Parliament to ensure that we boost it. So hopefully before the budget is finally passed and announced by Parliament and the Cabinet and everyone else, we want that to be revisited so that it's not even slashed. It's not slashed downwards because originally it has been 48 out of 78. but now they had slashed it to 20 to 10. We hear it's going to be boosted by 20. Even if it is boosted by 20, it will still be small. So we want that money to be boosted.
Nakawa East Member of Parliament Ronald Balimwezo Nsubuga, as well as the newly elected chairperson of the Road Committee, says Ugandans waste a lot of time in traffic jam because of the poor road network.
Government collects over 3.16 billion, but only commits 487 billion to districts for road maintenance, which is peanut. We have constructed many roads, but the maintenance has been the poorest in Uganda. Kampala capital city has 2,110 kilometers of road network, but only 30% is basically tarmacked. The rest is maram. And out of that is tarmacked, 70% has outlived the design life. And therefore we need to revamp the entire road network in the city. That's the reason that we came out to form this committee that is going to make miracles in the city, together with the authority roads committee.
Shamim Malende, woman member of Parliament Kampala, urges the roads committee to set a time frame for the roads rehabilitation process.
Akakiiko katongozeddwa naye baagala nguudo zikolebwe. Ekikulu enguudo zikolebwe tuleme koma kutongoza bukiiko na kubeera nti enguudo zibeeraawo nga tezikoze eki tezikoleddwa.
Justin Nakami at KCCA.
UBC News Tonight takes a very short break, but we return with more stories after these messages.
Jerry Con! Jerry Con! Hey, Master Blaster! Touch him, man! Buy Jerry Con with muscle! Those ones who say go for you only. Mundava! First group is I teach you. When I go to which Muscari, because of the cover is very far. Is you serious? Is yes you? What? Yeah? You step it on it. Add kilometers to your legs and you get your sugar. We buy meat from Umaru and Umaru refuse to give you enough meat. Mama! Show him that they don't joke with you. Umaru, Jerry car.
Okukakaluka n'okulungi kwetaagako omuntu akuyambako, n'olwekyo tujja kukuteerawo embeera esaanidde osobole okukola ekisinga awamu teri kitulema.
Do you need data collection services, data analysis and reporting, monitoring and evaluation systems? Then contact Mulch Technologies, a professional research firm that has provided many organizations with timely research solutions for over 15 years. For more information, visit www.mt.co.ug or call us on 0704 913 399 or 0782 602 963. Visit our office in Kampala at Sayuni Complex in Tinda. Mood Technologies, your professional research firm.
At Timex Nutrition Center, we advise you on the right foods to eat, exercise profile to adopt, and lifestyle strategies which are compatible to your blood group and genotype. This empowers your body to prevent and treat many diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, ulcers, obesity, and many others. For more information, find us at our head office in Kampala on Nassa Road, Conrad Plaza, 2nd floor, or call 0758 819 952 or 0778 288 361. We also have other branches in Bara and Jinja.
Are you tired of high fees and slow transfer time when sending money? Look no further. Airtel Money is here to revolutionize the way you move your money. We have revised our rates, and now sending money from Airtel to other networks in Uganda, East Africa, and to the rest of the world has never been more affordable. Plus, you can trust Airtel Money to get your money where it needs to go quickly and safely. Simply dial *185# and start sending money. Switch to Airtel Money today and experience unbeatable rates and top-notch services for all your local and international money transfer needs. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Welcome back from that break. We're glad that you're still with us. Now into the business scene. Housing Finance Bank has opened up a new branch in the oil city of Hoima to extend better banking and housing services to the people. However, during the opening ceremony, the leaders in the region expressed optimism that the bank will help the people town land and have modern houses.
Local leaders in the Hoima region are optimistic that the opening of the Housing Finance Bank in Hoima will help many local persons in the region to own land and houses.
That we are here at the official launch of Housing Finance Bank.
Fred Kabagambe Kalisa, the president's advisor on oil and gas, says that the financial institute has come at a right time when the country is gearing up for the oil and gas production phase.
A bank that is trustworthy, a bank that serves the people, is not an abstract. That is what this bank is all about.
With the increasing activities in the oil and gas industry in the region requires modern housing estates for expatriates. However, with the coming of a Housing Finance Bank to the region, it increases more chances of the people to acquire affordable loans to invest in the real estate business.
Hoima is a growing city. It is a hot potato. Actually, it is in chemistry we call it the crystallization element, the point of crystallization.
Brian Kaboyo, the Hoima city mayor, commended the bank for extending its services nearer to the people and called on the bank to provide financial assistance to the locals at subsidized interest rates.
I want to appreciate everyone who has come to be part of this. Thank you for putting in your time, and I'm very sure you'll get the support from the community, support the bank. And also I want to appreciate the church, the religious leaders here. Thank you so much, and thank you for hosting.
Michael Karokora Mugabe, the managing director, Housing Finance Bank, said the institution is committed to providing reliable financial services to the people to spur development.
We've seen government encouraging people in the private sector initiative that can we form circles, can we work together? And we are saying that we are partnering, we are coming out to say that we are here and we have already registered many circles in different parts of this country, over 300 circles. So, and we look forward to these circles in the Albertine region banking with us. And we will not stop there, but offer the literacy, financial literacy, empowering you, working with you, advising you, so that it goes beyond putting money in the bank, but also giving you advice that will enable you to be able to grow the circles and multiply. After the event, I want to thank the team behind the AC event.
And now into sports. Uganda Olympic Committee has signed a memorandum of understanding with Cuba with intentions of sports development and technical assistance. We have more details in this report.
As Uganda and Cuba prepare for next year's celebration of 50 years of collaboration, a memorandum of understanding to grow sport has been signed. This was engineered by Uganda Olympic Committee and sealed at the Cuban Embassy in Mbuya.
The most important is our decision, our will, our commitment in order to provide our experience, our technical assistance, our medicine, sport, and everything that Uganda decide that Cuba could provide in order to improve the performance of the sport in the Republic of Uganda.
We have a long history between Uganda and Cuba. We'll be celebrating 50 years of Cuban bilateral relationships in Uganda. But in the area of sport, we are looking at through this MOU that we have signed today, working in areas of technical assistance, probably look at things like sports like boxing, athletics, maybe basketball. So areas where we can have mutual cooperation, where we have exchange of technical competences and assistance between the two countries. Maybe Cuban artists can come and run in Teriet at our high performance center. We're also looking to see how we can celebrate the 50 years through a Uganda-Cuba Day next year, where we have a sports festival to celebrate the friendship between the two countries.
Historically, Cuba prides in boxing with several champions at the Olympics, but also excels at other sports like baseball, weightlifting, volleyball, and basketball. Uganda is excellent in athletics and boxing, with netball and football more renowned for their mass appeal in a country with altitude that is envied by many. John Barnes, Sentamo, UBC News.
Well, with that, we come to the end of our first edition of UBC News Tonight. Do join us at 10 o'clock with more stories in UBC News Tonight at 10. I'm Lorraine Masika Kazimoto and Elizabeth Nakakonyo on sign language interpretation. We'll see you at 10.
Most parts of the country. Good evening and welcome to Inma Weather on UBC. I'm Annette Nachimbugwe. A glance at the weather image over Africa. The rain belt is still persistent over the western, central and eastern parts of the continent, with our country inclusive, and thus nicely explains the rainfall conditions we are receiving over most parts of the country. On Friday morning, we could wake up under isolated thunder showers in Kampala and Masaka, while in Nakasongola and Mubende, isolated rains. In the western, we could have sunny intervals in Masindi and Kasese, while in Mbarara and Kabale, we could have thunder showers. In the eastern, we could have isolated rains, while over the northern, we could have sunny intervals prevailing, becoming in the afternoon rainy over most places in the central, temperatures to rise to 26 centigrades in the western. We could have thunder showers, temperatures to rise to 27 and 28 centigrades. In Kabale, up to 23 centigrades. In eastern, we could have isolated rains with thunder showers in Soroti, temperatures to rise to 28 centigrades, while over the northern, could have thunder showers with temperatures to rise between 27, 28 up to 29 centigrades in Kotido. Now let's have a look at the world cities weather forecast from a few cities like London. There could be rainy isolated showers with temperatures to rise to 18 centigrades. Over Cairo, sunny conditions and temperatures to rise to 34 centigrades. In New York, isolated rains and temperatures to rise to 16 centigrades. And in Nairobi, thunder showers and temperatures to rise to 25 centigrades. Thank you for watching weather from Uganda National Meteorological Authority. Bye.